Hi guys, my name is Idima and you're welcome to Parent Scoop. So today I have some story time for you guys. I'm going to talk about the aftermath after I found out I was pregnant with an IUD in. The first time that happened, it was an ectopic pregnancy. So what happened is they did some blood tests at the hospital when I went to the emergency room, and then the first doctor told me, you know, I'm pregnant, and I was like, what? How can I be pregnant? I have an IUD in. And they said I had to get an ultrasound just to, you know, see what was going on in there, pretty much. And then fast forward a few hours later, they came back saying, oh my god. Okay, they didn't say oh my god, but they were quite calm. So the doctor came in, and this was a different doctor because there was a change of shift, and told me that I know they had mentioned that I was pregnant, but unfortunately the pregnancy was not viable. And yeah, that was a lot, because the first time when they told me I was pregnant, you know, I was already imagining my life with a baby, how that's going to change and everything like that. And then a few hours later, they're like, actually, they have to take it out. And not only did they have to take it out, they also said that depending on the damage, they had to take out my right tube. Almost everything just hits me back to back, left and right. They didn't even give me, like, there was no time to process. And yeah, and I know you don't need like 2 tubes to have a baby, but removing one decreases your chances of having one. And although I had already in my mind said that I didn't want another baby after I had my first child, Michelle, it was still quite sad, because one moment you're happy that you're having a baby, you're scared you're having a baby, and the next moment you're like sad that you're not having a baby after all. And that chances are, if you want to have a baby in the future, chances are now slim because they are taking out the right tube. So I was scared, I was afraid, I was nervous, everything was going through my mind. And then that day as well was when my parents were leaving after visiting me. So unfortunately that was like a very sad goodbye, because they had to come to the hospital to tell me bye. Everything from when they told me they had to take out the baby happened very quickly. They arranged for an ambulance to come take me to the main hospital where the surgery was going to happen. And even when I went, you know, I had arrived at the hospital, like there were nurses ready, the pre-op room was ready for me, like everything was just happening very quickly. And in all of this, the hospital staff still remain calm. I don't know how they do it, but kudos to you guys. Unfortunately, because my husband had to take my parents, you know, to the airport, I actually only saw him for I think like 10 minutes before I got into surgery, because of how fast like everything was going. But at least I was able to see him. And then so they took me into the operating room. And if you've ever had surgery, I don't know about you guys, if you had surgery that, you know, they had to make you sleep, this to me is the scariest part. Like just lying there, and you don't know if that's like literally your last time you're going, like you don't know if you're going to come back. You're just lying there, like you can't do anything, and you're pretty much saying bye. Luckily for me, the nurse was actually nice and she calmed me down. And I remember like she told me, you know, just close your eyes and think happy thoughts. And then they counted down, they put them out, and then they drugged me so I can then go to sleep. And that's the last time I remember. I don't know how long it took, because obviously I was asleep, I didn't know what was going on. But then I remember waking up, and yeah, everything was over. Like, not everything, the surgery was over. The recovery started, but yes. And they were like, I can go home the same day. I was like, what? But I just had surgery, how can I go home the same day? What if something happens? Like, what if? And when they told me to go try use the bathroom, And I remember standing up and I was so like dizzy, so weak, I could barely walk there. And I'm like, are you sure I'm supposed to be going home? And they were like, yeah, that's like, I can go home, because it was a laparoscopic procedure. So they said I could go home, that if I have anything, I can feel free to come back to the emergency. And I remember asking this nurse, like, are you sure? Like, can you confirm with the doctor, please? So they actually had to call the doctor on call, and the doctor actually came up to see me and was like, look, your stats look good, that it's normal for you to feel dizzy, that I just need rest. And then my husband came, picked me up, and we got the necessary pain meds and went home. And friends, that was the beginning. That, I think, when I finally got home is when I now processed everything. Like, I remember the first night I was fine, you know, I had a few pains here and there, but I was okay. And then the next day, like, all the emotions hit me. Like, I cried pretty much all day. I cried and cried and cried and cried, and I was like, oh my god, like, why me? My life is over. Like, oh my god, like, how can this be happening to me? Yeah, it was something. It was a lot to deal with. It was a lot to deal with. But yeah, I tried to just read some Bible plans. I tried to, you know, watch some videos, you know, of people that have gone through it and kind of how they dealt with that. And honestly, pregnancy loss is not easy. And I think I'll have to have a separate video for that one, because it's a lot. It's a lot. That's all I can say right now. Yeah, and I remember just crying that day, probably crying for the next couple of days, just wondering, like, why me. But at the same time, at work, I had just kind of started like the new job. I think I was about 4 months in, and I didn't want them to fire me or look like I was taking advantage of them. So after 2 weeks that the doctor said, you know, you should be off and I could go back to work, I was right back at work. In fact, when I came back, people were like, why are you back? I'm like, it was also kind of good that I came back, because I mean, just doing nothing, just thinking wouldn't have helped me either. So it was good that I was able to go back to work. I remember my manager asking me, like, are you sure you don't need some more time off? And I was like, no, I'm good. I just had to be good. I had to just, you know, get back up, I guess. And yeah, I had Michelle, so if anything, if let's say in the future I was not able to have any more babies, I had Michelle, and I was just thankful that I already had a baby at the time, like a child already. Whew. So that's what happened the first time. Fast forward some months later, and I put back the IUD in. IUD worked fine for a few months, and then here I was again, pregnant. So I did go back to the emergency room again, because I was just scared. I was like, oh my god, another ectopic pregnancy. Oh my god, this IUD, why are you doing this to me? You know, I remember going in, I told them that, you know, this happened to me the first time, and I was just scared that it was happening again, that they should just, you know, pretty much hurry up. And they actually attended to me quite quickly. I'm not sure if it's because of my past history, but they did attend to me quicker than they did the first time, which was good. And then they did the ultrasound using the bedside table ultrasound, and they said that everything looked good. I had to come back the next day just to have a full ultrasound, which I did, and again everything was fine, thankfully. They said that there was some bruise in the lining of the uterus, and that over time that it should go away. So yeah, that's what happened. And yeah, I remember just being nervous. Yeah, and even after they confirmed that everything was fine, I was like, oh my god, will I carry this child to term? I was so scared to tell people that I was pregnant, because I was like, what if I tell them I'm pregnant and then after I have to terminate the baby or something goes wrong, then I have to go tell them again that, oh, I'm no longer pregnant, you know? I think for the first and second trimester, like, I was constantly anxious. I was just constantly anxious that something would go wrong. But then I don't know, one day I was just like, Idema, you have to stop. Like, me thinking it's just bringing negativity, so why am I worried? Like, everything is fine. Towards the beginning of the third trimester, I kind of like, okay, I believe in God, so why am I even scared? Like, I got this. Like, God got me. This baby is going to come to term. Everything is going to go well. Thankfully, it did go well. My baby came full term. She came out healthy. And well, let me tell you, people, when you see me posting my babies, it's not because, you know, I'm trying to show off that I have 5 children, which I do. But it's just that that's my own means of like just showing my appreciation to God. And you know, they mean the world because they also not only stand for themselves but also stand for the babies that I lost in the past. So yeah, they just mean the whole world to me, and like, I constantly feel blessed when I see them, even though it can be stressful, but you know, I can't complain too much. I'd rather be stressed over, you know, taking care of a newborn than being stressed over losing one. So yes. If you have experienced pregnancy losses before or know someone who has, I am giving you a virtual hug and I'm sending prayers. And if you're still expecting a child or you're waiting on God for one, I pray that God shall grant it to you. And if you're currently pregnant, I pray that you shall carry your child to full term in good health, and you will have a healthy, bouncing baby girl or boy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.